Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of Reddit Podcast Stories, where today, Karen wants to use me as her backup ATM. Plus update. Next month, I, female, am going away on vacation with a longtime friend who's also female. We're going to the Caribbean for 5 nights. It's not all-inclusive, so we will be responsible for paying for food, drinks, and any activities. She asked me how much I was bringing in cash, and I said $300 cash, plus debit and credit cards. She told me that she's going to bring $300 cash, but no debit or credit cards. She said she's on a tight budget and $300 is her limit. I explained that comes around to only $60 per day. This is not one of the cheaper Caribbean islands, so food and drinks alone won't leave her with much left over. I reminded her that she needs to factor in cabs, incidentals, or any activities we may decide to do. And you never know if an emergency will come up where she'll need money. She says to me, "That is why I have you," and started to laugh. That upset me to no end. I tell her that we're both adults who are responsible for our own selves. It would be one thing if she lost her purse and needed money. I would float her money before she even had to ask. But to purposely use me as her backup ATM is not going to work. I told her now that I know what she's up to, I'm not going to go along with it. If she runs out of money, she'll just be out of luck and hungry. She needs to bring her cards with her for her own good. Now she's telling me that I'm too harsh and she will bring extra money but no cards. I told her to do what she wants, but if there's an emergency, she's on her own. Update. Some of you said that the hotel would want a credit card on file from the person making the reservation. My friend was the one who booked the vacation. She put the whole thing on her credit card because she wanted the card points. I told her because the reservation was booked through a third-party app, the hotel would need the original card used to make the reservation. So she was on the hook to bring her credit card. I have no idea if that's true or not, but it sounded good based on what you all commented. She was not happy that her own greed got her, but at least she brought a credit card. 2. Others mentioned that she was going to sulk, and sulk she did. When we got to the airport, I told her I was not going to spend the vacation in her misery, so let's hash it out right now. She said that my tone was very rude, as if I was accusing her of trying to mooch off of me, which she was. I told her to put herself in my shoes. She was deliberately not being responsible and told me to my face I was her backup plan and laughed about it. It made me feel upset and used. She apologized, and I apologized for being so harsh. 3. Some of you said she would try to be content with cutting corners. Cabs were expensive on the island, and they didn't take credit cards, so she looked up how to take the local buses. I was fine with that until we waited 45 minutes in the heat for a bus to take us to the mall. Yep, we only took cabs after that. A few of you mentioned that she would go through her cash in the first 2 days. You were close, 2.5 days. There were several markets with local jewelry and crafts that she absolutely loved, and they only took cash. So she ran through her money rather quickly. She only brought her credit card, not her debit card. So as someone suggested, I made her Zelle me right then and there the money I took out of the ATM for her. She paid for the exchange and ATM fees. She tried it with the meals. She ordered something big and wanted to split the bill evenly. Normally I would not nitpick about that, but I just didn't want her to feel like she still got one over on me in any way. Since she used her credit card for meals, to save the cash she had, I paid what I owed in cash and she paid the rest, her higher portion with her credit card. Overall, we had a good time. We did a few excursions, had shopping and beach time, and relaxed. She even told me it was a good thing she brought her credit card. Things only got weird when I asked her to Zelle me right then and there at the ATM before I gave her the cash, but she knew why I was being so hard-nosed about it. Today I messed up when I, 24 male, offered my coworker, 18 female, a ride home. Last night I offered one of my coworkers a ride home after work. My coworker is an intern, an attractive intern, not gonna lie. However, I've never been tempted to cross that line because A, we work together, and B, the age gap. That being said, despite my professional and platonic relationship with my coworker, I still managed to end up in a temporary love triangle somehow. To pick up where I left off in my opening line, she accepted my offer to drop her off at her apartment when we were done working. On our way, she answered a phone call from her boyfriend. I had no idea what the boyfriend was saying, but based on my coworker's unexpectedly candid responses, it became obvious that her boyfriend was upset at her for posting a photo on social media of her drinking somewhere with random guys. My coworker explained that the random guys actually worked with her, and the photos were taken during our monthly office party. She apologized for not telling her boyfriend about it before posting the pictures, but she refused to apologize for enjoying drinks with colleagues. The conversation between my coworker and her boyfriend became more and more heated, especially when she started using words like insecure, immature, and jealous to respond to her boyfriend. I was doing my best to not look like I was eavesdropping, even though it was impossible not to. At some point during the argument, I low-key had to use made-up sign language to communicate to my coworker that I didn't know where I was going and that she was supposed to be navigating the way to her apartment. She was listening to her boyfriend talking at that moment, but she had no problem giving me verbal instructions at the same time. The boyfriend must have realized his girlfriend was in the car with a person of interest, because my coworker's next response to him was, "Nope, not in an Uber. One of the guys at work offered to drive me home." She listened and listened and listened while shaking her head and rolling her eyes before opening her mouth and suddenly saying, "Yes, he is one of the guys in the photo. In fact, he's the tall guy on the far left with the cute dimples." It was literally the first compliment I've gotten from a woman about my looks since my girlfriend broke up with me a couple of years ago. I was so caught off guard with the cute dimples line that I momentarily stopped focusing on the road and stared at my coworkers with deer in headlights eyes. My coworker hung up on her boyfriend and said I just missed the turn. What was supposed to be a 10-minute drive to my coworker's apartment turned into a 25-minute journey because of my lack of concentration. The boyfriend called again a few minutes later, and my coworker had to explain to him why she was still on the road and not at home yet. I didn't have to hear what my coworker's boyfriend was saying to know that he did not like the fact that his girlfriend was still with the cute dimples guy. My coworker eventually became so frustrated, she switched to Danish mid-argument, her native language. I think she assumed I wouldn't understand what she was saying, but I did. My best friend is Scandinavian. My coworker, now speaking Danish to her boyfriend, apologized for upsetting him and said that he had no reason to feel threatened because she would never cheat on him with anyone, especially not with the guys at work. So there I was, still happy about the cute dimples compliment when I heard my coworker roast all the guys she worked with, including me. I guess she was doing it to convince her boyfriend that he was better than us and kind of boost his ego in the process because she really made us sound bad. She said I never blink my eyes and that I walk like I'm riding an invisible bicycle. On top of that, she said my voice was so husky it made her feel like she needed to clear her throat every time she heard me talk. The tension between my coworker and her boyfriend died down because she was laughing so much. When I finally made it to her apartment, I didn't even bother saying goodnight. All I did was smile and wave before leaving. I wish I never offered to drive her home. That was an uncomfortable experience. Monday is going to be awkward at the office for me. My boyfriend and best friend are in love with each other. I've never experienced this kind of betrayal before. I'm at a loss for words, and honestly, I don't know how to handle the situation. For some context, Delaney is my best friend since high school, and my boyfriend Adam and I have been together for 2 years. All three of us would hang out together. I saw the relationship between Delaney and Adam as a friendly banter, that of a brother and a sister. Delaney never spoke down on Adam, nor Adam of Delaney. Of course, they'd have disagreements, but I always saw it as something funny, like kids fighting. I noticed the signs when Delaney started saying that she didn't want Adam to hang out with us. She said she just wanted it to be her and I. Every time Adam got mentioned or anything, she'd look super upset. I asked her what was wrong, and she insisted it was nothing. Fast forward to the next day. I'm staying the night at Adam's, and he's asking about Delaney. He said she's acting weird. I asked if he talked to her, and he said not much, but that she seemed off, and he asked me to check on her. Adam went to go take a shower, and he got a message from Delaney. He's always left his phone around me, and I really didn't think anything of it, so I checked it because I had messaged Delaney, but she never responded to me. The first message she sent was, "I feel horrible, and I love her, but I can't help how I feel about you. You need to choose because you can't have us both." Apparently, Adam and Delaney had hooked up a few months ago after Valentine's Day, and almost all the time since. I remember when Adam brought Delaney and I flowers on Valentine's Day, but I only thought it was a friendly gesture. Delaney was so happy, it was all she talked about. She kept telling me how lucky I was, but as my best friend, I didn't think it would mean she'd do this. I read more messages. Times when Delaney and Adam said they were hanging out with friends or doing overtime at work, they were with each other. They had sent each other all kinds of pics. She had been trying to convince Adam to tell me about them and leave me, hoping I would understand that they were in love. But apparently, Adam was still in love with me and didn't want to let that go. Delaney was always there for me, supportive and kind, the most beautiful person I had ever known. And Adam, the love of my life, who would always give his last dollar if it meant I would be okay, was an old soul, someone you could always depend on. So I don't understand why they'd do this to me. I used my phone to take pictures of everything, and when Adam came out, I told him my mom had an emergency and I had to leave. I needed some time to process what I was feeling and to think about my next steps. I spent the whole night crying and reading over the messages I'd collected. After losing myself and crying myself to sleep, I woke up the next morning and took a long shower. I pondered for a bit, but ultimately decided that no friend or boyfriend should treat me this way, and I needed to do something about it. I haven't confronted Delaney or Adam, though they've both texted me asking if I'm all right. I'll probably sit them both down together and handle this like adults. I'm almost 30. I thought maybe we'd get married one day, and Delaney would be my maid of honor. I thought wrong. Edit. I've been friends with Delaney since freshman year of high school. She threw away 16 years of friendship. I helped pay off the car that she drives around in. It's okay. She did come over, and I didn't have to tell her that I knew. Because of my anxiety at Adam's, I accidentally left the messages open on his phone, and they both called my dad to check on my mom and found out I lied about her emergency, so they both are aware that I now know. I wanted Delaney to explain in detail how they started hooking up. Long story short, it was actually on Valentine's Day, and I was on the night shift, and they'd been at my apartment waiting for me and got drunk. They both have a key to my apartment. When I had come home, they were both passed out on opposite sides of the couch. I remember feeling bad for leaving them all night to be bored. Now I see that they put each other to sleep. After Delaney told me, I just forced her out of my apartment. I practically dragged her out. She wouldn't give back my key. Adam had been blowing up my phone all day, but couldn't come see me until he was off work. Even when he did, his reasons and explanations were stupid. He claimed to still love me, still want to be with me, and promised to never speak to or see Delaney again. I didn't even hear the rest of it. I just told him to leave. I'm watching the maintenance man change the locks as I type this. My heart was hardened toward them both after learning about their lies, and I'm extremely hurt, and my trust has been broken, and I feel as if I'll never be able to really love again. In all honesty, I hope they stay together and figure out if it was worth it or not. What also hurts is I still love them, but I hate them both at the same time. There's no fixing this. There's no rekindling it. And to those of you who kept pushing me to do an open relationship with the both of them, no way. Or better yet, you go be in an open relationship with someone who cheated on you. They've been hooking up behind my back for months now. If Adam wanted an open relationship, he would have asked. Plus, I don't agree with it, and I find the entire subject to be stupid, but to each their own. They're both blocked, and I sent screenshots to all of our friends and parents. Yes, my own, yes, Delaney's, and yes, his. All our parents are close friends, especially me and Delaney's parents. I'm sure it would be nice to watch their world burn, but instead, I'm going to have the couch that they hooked up on delivered to Delaney's house with the same wine they drank that night sent to Adam. I'm going to go shopping for a new couch eventually, but my recliner chair will do for now. I don't know if they'll stay together, but if they do, no one will support them. No one will be on their side, and no one will ever trust them or believe anything they say. And that's revenge enough for me. Again, thanks for everything. Am I the jerk for pulling out of planning my sister's wedding, causing her to lose her venue? As a wedding planner who's been in the industry for many years now, my 31 male party trick among close friends and family is being able to guess how long my clients' marriages will last with pretty alarming accuracy. If you ask anyone in the industry, there are specific indicators while working with a couple that allow us to be able to gauge compatibility. I can usually get down to around a 6-month window when predicting when photos of each other will disappear from socials. This is not me taking joy in crashing or burning of relationships. Working in this career field can actually leave you feeling jaded about relationships in general, which is why I'm reluctant to work for friends and family. The specific stress wedding planning puts on some people and couples can bring out the worst in them that you don't see in everyday life. My sister is getting married early next year and practically begged me to plan for her despite my stance on clients I know personally. I finally gave in and we began the process back in March. Last week, while we were meeting and finalizing a few things, she asked me about the party trick I mentioned. She said since I had been working with her and her fiancé for months now, I could give my prediction as to how long they were going to last. I laughed and tried to move on. I thought she was joking, but she continued to press the issue. After her continuously bothering me for at least 15 minutes when I'm trying to move on, I do have work outside of my specific appointment with her that I needed to get done, I finally told her I thought they would last forever. She claimed she didn't believe me and wanted my real number, so I shrugged and told her the truth. 1.5 years. She was livid. I felt incredibly uncomfortable with the whole ordeal, especially with how little she respected my boundaries in what's supposed to be a professional setting, and she just tried to usher her way out of my office. Instead, she began ranting about my own marriage and said she gives us until the end of the year before we break up and accused me of being a homewrecker. She finally left, and I emailed her saying I would no longer be involved in planning. I gave her the contact information for all of the vendors we were working with, but told her the venue would no longer be available as they only book to people they have existing relationships with, and my involvement was necessary. I've had to break up with clients before, but this felt particularly rough. She's now told our parents that I'm purposefully sabotaging her wedding and that I was unforgivingly rude to her when she just asked a playful question. I feel very silly for letting a person disrespect my boundaries over and over again, something I typically wouldn't tolerate. But now I'm wondering if I'm the one in the wrong. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. She pushed, you gave a perfectly acceptable answer of forever, to which she didn't like that and wanted a real answer. But what would she have been happy with? 20 years? 10 years? Everyone sucks here. I think you should stop playing this party trick with anyone. Even if you're accurate, it's not a nice thing to say about people. You could have avoided this whole scenario if you never played mental games with people's lives. Now, of course, your sister is a jerk for pushing and pushing, but you should never have told her the truth. I think OP was being too generous with her. With as pushy as she sounds, I give him less than a year. Would I be the jerk if I go on vacation with my mom instead of attending my father's wedding? I'm 26, male. My parents, 44 female and 45 male, have been high school sweethearts. My mom got pregnant straight out of high school. My mom has always supported my dad through everything. She worked double shifts so that my dad could start a business and earn a significant amount of money. She never splurged on luxury goods, and even after my dad started his successful business, my mom saved and encouraged him to invest more in his business. And how did my lovely dad decide to thank her? He hooked up with a woman who was only a year older than I am. They've been divorced for 3 years, and my dad publicly started dating his mistress without any shame. My siblings have a sort of strained relationship with him. I never talked to him after the divorce. I hate to acknowledge his existence and hate it even more that he seems to think he did nothing wrong. He's getting married to his mistress in 10 days. I can tell Mom is still hurt by the divorce. She told me she's going to Romania, where her parents were born. She always insisted my dad take her there, but since my dad was busy cheating on her, he never took her. I also wanted to go with her because I needed an excuse to avoid the wedding altogether. My siblings told me if I don't attend the wedding, they wouldn't go either. My dad has been on my neck and trying to guilt trip me into attending his wedding, but I already booked the tickets to Romania. My relatives are saying if I don't go, I'll be disrespecting my dad. I don't think he deserves an ounce of respect from me. Plus, I'm pretty sure their marriage won't last more than 2 years, considering how much she spends just to show off. I'd rather be with my mom. Go with your mom. If anyone did any disrespecting, it was your dad by having an affair. Although if you still want to have a good relationship with your dad, then you'd better think it through and discuss it with your siblings. Go support your mom. Go to Romania. You're right, your dad doesn't deserve respect, at least right now. Marrying someone so much younger than him should have consequences. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You're not the jerk here. I will point this out. The affair was between your mom and dad, not you. Yeah, it certainly affected you, but he can't be miserable for the rest of his life. What he did sucked, but if he wants to marry this woman, he should. What he had between him and your mom is over. But you also don't owe him your time or respect. What he did sucks, but it's done. Do you want a relationship with him? Update. So I'm in Romania with my mom and my girlfriend. We just landed 36 hours ago. My dad's wedding is canceled. According to my siblings, my dad wanted his girlfriend to sign a prenup, but she refused. It turned into a huge fight between him and her. They fought in the rehearsal dinner too. He decided to postpone the wedding until the matter is solved. I don't think so. This wedding will never happen. I'm glad he's learning the truth of his value. I haven't told my mom yet. She seems happy here, so I don't want to ruin that. I might tell her today at dinner. My siblings are fine. I wish I could take them with us. Also, to those people who defended my cheating father and told me it's not my business, I hope each and every one of you suffer from what my mom, my siblings, and I went through. It wasn't easy. He betrayed us, not just my mom, but our whole family. He was a selfish old man who wanted his cake and to eat it too. I'm 100% allowed to be mad at him for destroying our family, destroying my mom and her self-esteem, everything. And those who are calling me a mama's boy, I hope your mom sees this and thinks what kind of unappreciative kid she gave birth to. I love my mom. She gave birth to me and took care of me when I wasn't able to do that. Now it's my turn to support her. Adios. Am I the jerk for choosing our family dog over a friend hard on his luck? Me, 32 male, my wife, 30 female, and our 2 daughters, who are both under 5, live in a decent-sized apartment. Not grand or anything of the sort, but big enough for us and for us to host another person for a limited amount of time that it would not be a burden. Recently, a friend of mine, 28 male, that I've known for a few years from an old job is going through a divorce, and he's asked for a place to stay. I talked it over with my wife, and she has no problem with him staying with us. When I told him that he could stay, he was so grateful, but then he told me to let him know once we had gotten rid of our dog and deep cleaned the home, as he has a severe dog allergy. We never knew about this, as it has never been an issue. We always hung out at a mutual friend's house, work, the bar, or double dates at restaurants where no dogs are. I told him that we would not be able to get rid of our dog to accommodate him, as he is part of our family, getting older, and that it would honestly devastate us. He is now running around bad-mouthing us to our friend group for taking back our offer for letting him stay with us and choosing a dog over his health. I've been receiving multiple calls saying that I'm the jerk for not helping him now. Edit. I've seen it asked. Me and my family are American from the East Coast, very pet-friendly area, but we no longer live in the US as of now due to my work, and currently live in a not-so-dog-friendly country on the other side of the world. Dogs here are not looked at as they are in the US. Many view them as little more than pests and don't understand viewing one as family here. Edit 2. Thanks for the responses. As I said, we're not in the US at the moment, and I know back home that there would be no second guessing if I was a jerk in this situation. I've talked with a few of our friends, and some now are at least indifferent, but they still really don't get valuing something like that over a person's comfort. But they at least acknowledge as a difference in world upbringing. While others are still upset that I would not do this for our friend, the friend in question is going to be staying with someone else. They wanted to stay with me as I was the only one in the group that had a spare room that could be used as a small bedroom. As I said, whenever we would meet up with others, it was always in public or at their home. We've had maybe 4 or 5 people over at our home, most of them which are also from the US. One friend did visit us back when we first moved over, but was uncomfortable around our dog and asked that we would keep him away while he was here. Many have said that they do not wish to hang out in a place that they view as unclean due to a dog living there, which I did not understand, as many have pets, mostly cats, but again, understanding the difference in world upbringing. Not the jerk. One of the other people in your friend group can accommodate him by getting rid of their own pets and paying for a deep cleaning. If he really needs a place to stay, he can stay at a hotel or whatever, but how urgent can he be if he can wait for you to find a new home for a family member? Just the suggestion to get rid of your pup would have been enough for me to say no. Am I the jerk for trying to invite my daughter to someone's party and possibly ruining it? My daughter, who's 9, goes to a small school with 11 other girls in her grade. Her class is very tight-knit, and we all get along well. About a year ago, the girls started a book club and meet up at different homes 2 times per month. My daughter was in it last month, but we had to stop when the school year began. She's a competitive dancer, which requires a lot of time. Fast forward to 3 weeks ago, we had a girl in her class over named Sarah. Sarah asked my daughter if she was excited to attend Addie's, another girl in the class, birthday party. She said it was a swimming party and they'd be playing a movie on an outdoor screen. My daughter hadn't received an invite. When Sarah's mom came, Sarah told her how we hadn't received an invite for Addie's birthday. Sarah's mom said Addie had handed them out at the last book club and had probably just forgot to reach out. She suggested I text Addie's mom. I was hesitant at first because I do have strong feelings about inviting yourself to things. I couldn't see a real reason why she wasn't invited since it was an at-home party and every other girl was. I texted Addie's mom and reminded her my daughter hadn't been at the last book club and if she was also supposed to receive an invite. She responded that she had hired someone to do a spa for them during the party and the service had a limit of 10, so they decided to only have the girls in the book club. She didn't expect us to find out. I responded that I understood, but felt it was wrong to not include just one. I told my daughter we can't expect to be invited every time and this was just a life lesson. Sarah's mom reached out to ask if I had sorted it out. I sent her a screenshot from the convo. She didn't respond for a few days, but when she did, she told me she had decided Sarah wouldn't attend. She felt it was wrong to not include just one of the kids, and she could see if our kids didn't get along or had issues, but that wasn't the case. They hired someone knowing just one would be left out, and she didn't agree with that. I get a text from Addie's mom a week later that a total of 4 of the girls were not attending. She felt I had ruined her daughter's party and was creating drama. I explained that I had no intentions of ruining her party and had only spoken to one other mom about it. I talked to my own mom about it, who agreed I should not have texted Addie's mom, and if they had wanted us, we would have been invited. The only mom I talked to about it was Sarah's, which I assume is who told others. I never meant to cause others to not attend or ruin a kid's party. When I reached out, I really felt like it must have been a mistake since she was the only one. Now I'm unsure if I was just a jerk who now causes unnecessary drama in a small group and possibly ruined a kid's birthday. Was I the jerk? Edit. My daughter does still attend book club once per month to every other month. She didn't totally leave. She's just not a full-time member. Not the jerk. Addie's mom knows there are 11 girls in the class and decided to go for the activity limited by not including one girl. That's where the drama is caused. Of course your daughter would have found out. Or if not, this would have caused the other girls to isolate her in general by keeping secrets from her. You trying to find out why she hasn't received an invitation is a normal thing. Sarah's mom following up on your conversation shows that she's concerned that your daughter seems to be left out. Her deciding to rally other moms or explain to other moms why her daughter will skip the party is not your decision, it's hers. Another person said you made a bad choice by sending a screenshot of the conversation because it was a private conversation. I don't agree with that. You were one of the parties in that conversation. You might have as well retold what Addie's mom said to Sarah's mom. For everyone with phones nowadays, it's clear that screenshot is a much easier way to transfer that information. Professor is forced to do a speech, complies to the max. Back when I was in high school, a long time ago, whenever an important date approached, like Independence Day, etc., we would line up in the courtyard and would have to be standing still as in formation, and one of the teachers would do a speech about the date and the importance of it. Those speeches would usually be around 10 to 15 minutes long, about as long as it was humanely possible to keep 150 of us lined up and standing still in formation and listening, and the teacher doing the speech would rotate amongst the faculty, and since there were quite a few teachers, each teacher was due around once a year or less than that. There was one notable omission on this teacher's roster. The mechanography teacher never did a speech. Never. Let's call him Mech. He would always refuse and get away with it for whatever reason. In around 30 or so years teaching at the school, it became famous that he never did a speech. Until this one day when I guess the dean got out of bed on the wrong side or whatever, and he absolutely demanded Mech to do the speech. There was no way to get out of it. Mech would have to do it. His first speech in 30 or so years at the school. Even some of the faculty, former students of Mech themselves, were excited to see the outcome of this power struggle between Mech and the dean. So we lined up in the courtyard, 150 students, 15 to 20 teachers, etc. And Mech took the stand and the mic with definitely a smirk of malicious compliance on his face, and he delivered. More than 45 minutes of an absolutely drowsing speech, telling every single minute detail and fact about the date in question. For the students, it was destruction. Having to stand still and silent for almost an hour. Failing to do so was one of the most punishable offenses, trying not to fall asleep on our feet. The dean tried to stop Mech twice. The first time, Mech just completely ignored the dean. The second time, Mech just plainly told the dean, "You wanted me to do the speech. Deal with it," for the whole audience to listen. Around 30 to 35 minutes, some of the older, I don't give a hoot anymore, students started shouting things at Mech. Not hurtful things, but colorful commentaries about the speech. We started laughing. Mech carried on as if nothing had happened. Dean tried to take the stand to demand silence. Mech denied the dean, saying, "I'm not finished yet." That day, we lost probably an hour and 30 minutes of teaching time. We ended up hating Mech for what he put us through. When he finished, the dean had no choice but to give us a short, unscheduled break before returning to class. Over the years, I realized what an absolute masterpiece of malicious compliance Mech delivered. Mech never did a speech again at the school. Am I the jerk for not making enough dinner for my mother-in-law and ignoring her completely? I, 29 female, live in an apartment with my husband, 31 male. Recently, my mother-in-law has come to visit since she's trying to relocate here. She's been staying with us since hotels and Airbnbs are at an all-time high. She's been here a month and it's been, well, difficult. She doesn't help with anything like cooking or cleaning. She also takes my husband's car without knowledge, so I have to give him a ride to work. She also throws stuff away she thinks we don't use. She also has been going shopping lately, buying decor. She was only supposed to stay 2 weeks to see if she likes it here and try to find a home. It seems like she wants to relocate here and like she found her home, with us. I've had conversations with my husband to get her to leave. He's asked and begged, but she still doesn't want to leave and he doesn't want to disrespect her. I've remained kind, but I can't take it anymore. I went into the guest room she's staying in and cleared it out. I took all the clothes out of the dresser and closet and put it into her suitcase. I also put all of her things on the floor. She came home and yelled at me, then got into a fight with my husband. She then apologized and said she couldn't afford the plane ticket back, and if my husband books it, she leaves. Well, he did for yesterday. She refused to go because it was the cheapest ticket on the cheapest airline and that she was worth more than that. We got her into another flight and she got a hotel for the night. Well, today she came home and opened the door. It wasn't locked. She then passed us and put all her things in the empty guest room. She went to the living room where we were and said, "Well, are you guys ready to apologize?" We were dumbfounded, of course. I stormed to my bedroom and locked myself in there. I took a nap and came out, and they were both watching TV. It was around 6 at the time, and I decided to start getting dinner ready. When I started, my mother-in-law went and started trying to talk to me, basically saying I should apologize. She noticed I was ignoring her and started yelling. I kept ignoring her until she went with my husband. I blocked out their conversation. I was quiet and set the plates. I only made enough servings for me and my husband. I sat and ate, and they came to do the same. She saw there were only 2 plates and went to look for more food. There wasn't any. I don't know how it happened, but we got into a huge fight, and I ended up throwing all our clothes outside and screaming at her for all my neighbors to see. She was crying, and my husband was begging for me to stop. I drove to my friends, shaking and mad. I passed out and woke up to paragraphs upon paragraphs of not just my husband and mother-in-law, but sister-in-law and brother-in-law, basically telling me I'm a jerk for disrespecting mother-in-law and embarrassing her. Well, I have no idea what to feel. So, am I the jerk for how I reacted? Do this next. Tap here on your screen to come see our new podcast playlist, where you'll find thousands of hours of the best stories you've ever heard. Or tap the one on the right. That episode is specifically just for you, based on other videos you've enjoyed the most.